What's up guys, this is Wombat from the World Beyblade organization, and in this video I'm going to be explaining the concept behind mobile stamina types, sometimes called tornado stallers, and why they're a useful combination. As you may know, Beyblades come in four primary types: attack, defense, stamina, and balance. And stamina types are usually weak to attack types as shown by the diagram. Part of the reason that stamina types usually lose to attack types is because their contact point with the ground, whether it's a performance tip or a driver or whatever, usually doesn't have much friction with the ground, so they can't get much grip to resist the attack type's hits. And it's gotten to the point where at least in standard and limited, some of the defense types can KO stamina just because they're aggressive enough and have more friction with the ground. And right now, there's a video of an attack type and a defense type being able to KO just stationary stamina. The concept behind using a mobile stamina type is, well, rather than just taking an attack that's probably going to KO you, you should try to dodge it instead, because that makes sense. So now we're going to talk about what parts you would use to build a mobile stamina type. Part of what gives stamina type Beyblades their high spin times is parts with a lot of outward weight distribution, which means a lot of their weight is on the perimeter of the Beyblade. Like, Burn or Phantom are good examples of this. In the old generation, Wide Defense was one of the best weight discs for a lot of things just because it had so much weight distributed around the outside, and was also almost a perfect circle. Ring and Spread and Beyblade Burst are the best disc for this so far, but that will probably change soon. For your tip, you're going to want to use something with aggressive movement, but not a lot of friction. So a good example of this would be Metal Flat, Extreme Flat, Gauss Circle Flat, Giga Flat, Whole Flat Spike, or the Excel Driver from Beyblade Burst. Despite similar parts existing in plastics and HMS, tornado stalling or mobile stamina was not so much of a viable strategy back then as it is nowadays. As for the rest of the parts, the clear wheel you should use is probably Cygnus, but Cancer or Gasher will work as a substitute. Your face bolt should be Metal Face Light, Metal Face Feather, or just a normal face. And your spin track will vary from combination to combination. If you're using GCF, you can use F230, but it's usually something short like 85 or 90. The best layer for mobile stamina right now is Death Scyther in Burst. The way you launch your mobile stamina type is going to change depending on what kind of opponent you're facing, so let's go over the different kind of launch techniques right now. The basic way to launch a mobile stamina type is tornado stalling, where you launch parallel to the ground so that the tip catches on the tornado ridge. Aiming the Beyblade along the ridge gives it more speed and power as well. Against stationary defense types, tornado stall to avoid any early attacks that might happen from an aggressive launch. Since your tip has more stamina than the rubber tip defense type usually will, they'll lose all their energy just sitting in the center, and you'll be able to outspin them at the end of the battle. Against stamina, use the sliding chute and go for the knockout, but at your own discretion. Some taller stamina types and stamina defense hybrids may be more difficult for you to KO. In that case, just tornado stall as hard as possible without self-KOing. Attack types are tricky. If you aim your launch the same way as your opponent, you can avoid their attacks and outspin them. But if they outpredict you and aim at the other side of the tornado ridge, you'll get KO'd. And even if you predict correctly, the faster rubber-based tip from the attack type can still run you down and KO you if you aren't fast enough. Mobile stamina is also useful in Beyblade Burst, because while a stationary combo, like Death Scyther Spread Survive, has a chance of being bursted by its stationary opponents, with mobile stamina it's able to avoid contact for almost the entire battle and still outspin it at the end. Because if you don't have contact with your opponent, they can't burst you. So as a conclusion, let's go over why some of the reasons you would want to use mobile stamina over a stationary stamina type. For one, they can avoid KOs and bursts from stationary opponents, which is especially useful in burst because of how much the burst system relies on contact with the opponent. They're able to KO some stamina types that they can't OS normally, and they actually give the user some way of actively defending against attack types, depending on whether they can outpredict their opponent, and rather than just being a sitting duck in the middle of the base stadium. So yeah, this was a video about mobile stamina types. I hope you found this useful, and that's it. Bye.